Steel Ball Run is a series that after I heard about it, I've seen it being held in a very high regard by a lot of people. And after rereading it, I can definitely say that it's one of my favorite mangas. Now, every part of JoJo's has felt very, very different to each other. Whether it be the protagonist, the antagonist, or, just the general plot, each part is just so unique. And I can say the same for Steel Ball Run, mainly because of how Araki wrote it. Our main two characters that we get introduced to right at the start is Gyro Zappelli and Johnny Joestar. For the first half of SBR, it almost feels as if Gyro is the protagonist. He gets built up very well, and after we see that he's competing in the race to try and help a kid get pardoned from his execution, it's easy to see that Gyro is kind. He wants to help people, and that's what makes him an interesting character, because it goes against everything his father taught him growing up. Gyro's father made sure the connections that he had with people didn't run all that deep. He threw away sentimentality, while Gyro couldn't. On the other end, we have Johnny. He feels so different to every other Joestar we've seen up until now. There have been characters such as Jotaro, who seems kind of mean because he's always quiet, and also Joseph, who is very notorious for his cockiness. I mean, even Jolene and Giorno, they were involved in some, criminal stuff, but at the end of the day, you could kind of sense that they all had a good heart. They were all kind. Not to say that Johnny doesn't have those things, but when it comes to doing dirty work, it doesn't seem as if he has a problem with it. And it's an idea that gets reinforced throughout the story. Johnny doesn't seem as heroic as the other Joestars. It's hard to feel a sense of justice with him. And this is what makes Johnny's backstory so compelling and so important. When Johnny was a kid, he owned a mouse named Danny, and it's because of this mouse that his older brother died. This led to a very bad relationship between Johnny and his father. When I saw this, I realized that maybe the reason Johnny, he doesn't have a lot of problems doing bad stuff or doing dark stuff is because of his past. In the other parts of JoJo's, we did see the character's past being explored, but the difference with Steel Ball Run is that it feels a lot more consistent. Instead of the backstory to these characters being a one-time thing that we see and move on from, in Steel Ball Run it's something that gets brought up time and time again throughout the story. Pairing Gyro and Johnny up right at the beginning is one of the reasons why I thought this part was so great. Like I said, the first half feels like Gyro's half. Although he has very kind reasons for winning the race, he still has to find something that will drive him more than the other competitors. He has to be more desperate than the other people. And it's because Gyro was looking for something like this that we ended up with one of my favorite arcs in all of JoJo's, and that is the True Man's World. It's in this arc where we get introduced to Ringo Rodagen. Ringo is a perfect example of an antagonist pushing the characters to their limits so they can move forward. He was able to give Gyro the determination and drive he needed to win the race. I also really liked the fact that Ringo can never really feel at ease unless he had a fair duel with someone else. And just thinking back on Ringo, he's one of my favorite minor antagonists in all of JoJo's and in all of manga. For the second half of the story, I still felt that Gyro was a very prominent character. He's still very important. But the second half is also where we start to see more of Johnny's development. We see that he still has a lot of trouble regarding his past. It's because of his past that he feels like he deserves all the bad stuff that comes his way. Johnny sees that when things get good for him, or when he has hope for his future, all of that just gets taken away from him. And it's because of this that Johnny thinks that that's his fate. Whenever things get tough, he gives up. But it's because of Gyro that he's able to keep going and overcome the stuff he does. Gyro always pushes Johnny when he needs it. And it's this dynamic between Johnny and Gyro that made SBR what it is. These two characters are some of the best written in JoJo's. They left such a huge impact on me. Gyro and Johnny, in a writing sense, they harmonize together so well. I also just love seeing Gyro going off into his own little world, or just doing his weird little antics. Or there would be times that Gyro would just start telling jokes, and I mean they were really stupid jokes, but Johnny would always be there to just say that he's the best. And I really love those very wholesome moments between them. Now Gyro and Johnny are very big characters, as they should be in SBR, but someone else who's very important is Funny Valentine. He's the main antagonist of this part, and I immediately saw some similarities between him and Poochie, mainly in the fact that they never really betray their ideals. Funny has some very big patriotism for his country, for the United States, and it's because of this, everything he does is for this ideal. He believes that his actions are those of justice. And what I found so great about Funny is that you can definitely see where he's coming from. He truly believes that if he's able to get his hands on the corpse of Jesus, he will be able to keep his country safe and secure. Gyro and Johnny really do carry this part a whole lot, but if the antagonist was just really flimsy and, just a bad antagonist, I feel that Steel Ball Run wouldn't be as impactful as it is. Araki was able to write a very good story with Steel Ball Run. It has a very emotional and bittersweet ending, but it's also something that I really liked. Steel Ball Run is a story about a guy starting to walk, not in the physical sense, but in an adolescence to adulthood sort of way. Not only that, but it's also a story about revival and friendship, and also a whole lot of other things. It's something that I've found to be very, very beautiful. Easily one of my favorite parts of JoJo's. And now it's time to move on to JoJo Leon. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.